Welcome, everybody, to the first actual episode of the podcast. Andrew and I decided, I said, enough out with Connor Patrick Nolan videos or whatever. Andrew and I just have such a great chemistry in the art of podcasting. We just said, why don't we just do it together? So that's this. This is Upper Roommates. Welcome to Upper Roommates. I just bumped my mic. Welcome to Upper Roommates. It's Andrew, you want to explain the name?
I'm honored. Well, first of all, I'm honored to even be here. We did one video together and it got like 70 views and we were like, this is incredible.
86 now. 86.
86 views. We saw that 86 people were just blown away and we realized people need us in their day-to-day life. They need help being guided through the haze, and who better than two college roommates from Franciscan University. So I mean, like, that's our backstory. That's how we know each other.
We met each other cleaning toilets.
We met each other cleaning toilets at Franciscan University at 6 a.m. under the tutelage of an Italian Irish man, and we have been we've been engaged in pranking and theological and political discussion ever since, frankly.
And a lot of tomfoolery, a lot of
hijinks,
hijinks. What else? There's been some
mayhem, misdemeanors,
mayhem, wish-wash, mischief. It's a lot of good times, but we're living in crazy times. Right, and you and I have known each other since September of 2022. You were in your last year of undergrad. I was in my second year, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
that's right.
So,
and then I stayed to do a master's degree, and we kept working together. Eventually, we were roommates. We moved in with each other. There was a little.
Well, hold on. We didn't move in with
we could have like an episode about Mexicans and legality and like who owns what and like citizenship. That could be a future topic.
Essentially, Andrew was my illegal immigrant. We lived in an apartment. There was 4 guys, right, that paid for the apartment. All while Andrew was the teaching assistant for Dr. Scott Hahn. So, and being that you get to live at his house, right? And that's fair, right? So, like, and you like graded his, you're working for him and he gave you room and board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the funny thing was, though, is that why go sleep at Scott Hahn's house when you could hang out with your buddies?
Yeah, so I was staying with the Hans for like a year, but
great people.
There'd be so many nights where it would just be like I would just be at your like little apartment at like 2 a.m. I was like, well, I'm just gonna sleep on your floor, and we'll call it even.
It's fair. And the funny thing is,
I carried my weight though. I always
you bought a lot of milk.
I would buy we went through like 5 gallons of milk like every 4 days.
Yeah, it was like actually crazy. It wasn't even a week. It was like
because there was just like 5 like fully grown men living in this like condemned apartment, like
Section 8 housing.
Section 8 housing, like trying to avoid like being poisoned by like the rust in the tubes and all of that
in the water pipes. Oh my gosh, dude! And the funny thing is that the guy, our really good buddy Matt, him and I shared a room, right? And so we shared a room, and it was a 1-person room, funny enough, and but there was 2 beds in that room, so it was already tight. But Andrew used to just crash on the floor, so then there was just 3 of us in that room.
No, it was like a small room. Like your 2 beds were like always almost touching. There was
they were
barely
probably like they were probably like the desk width that I have apart, and this is like a 3.5 foot desk.
Yeah, it was a small spot, and then I would just like contort myself to like sleep on the floor, and I would like just use how do you say that word, like pillows or blankets or what, like accoutrements.
The funny thing is about you is because Spanish is your first language, right?
Yeah. Well, I basically learned them at the same time, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's funny because like like this expansive vocabulary, right, of the
Yeah.
English language, but like simple things, you're like, I have to translate this.
Yeah, it's like it's not like an almohada. Almohada is not how you say that. It's a pillow. That's almohada. That's how you say pillow in Spanish. Yeah, I mean,
So,
the grace of God. Just giving more background to ourselves. So I know English, Spanish, Latin. My Latin's good enough to read like the Vulgate and like Banez and John of St. Thomas. I know intermediate reading French, and then I know like Greek and Hebrew to an all right degree. So like that's a bit of my like theological background there. So I have some authority on some, not real authority, but I know a thing or two. That's what we did at Franciscan. We were learning.
I would say that I have a very basic understanding of Latin. I could read some Latin. I could read pretty simple
Salve
Latin.
amicus.
Yeah. Hello, friend. Hail, friend.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like I'm not very good on grammar, and I just which isn't very good for me, as Andrew knows. And so everyone pray for me. Just say a prayer.
Say a prayer. Say a Latin rosary for Connor.
Please. I have a big exam coming up. But anyways, for Latin, I'm finishing up my undergrad. But anyways, yeah, I studied theology at Franciscan for 4 years. And so I have a decent understanding of the faith, and a decent understanding of what's going on, like what should be going on.
As much as two like college age guys can like understand. Like it's
and I also work 40 hours a week in an office, like, and so like I listen to a lot of Avoiding Babylon on the way home, and
that was a big
Christian
big pusher. That was a big pusher for us starting a show.
Yeah, because I really love watching those guys. I hope to do a show with them one day. I love Wagner.
The whole reason we're starting this podcast, the whole reason is so that we could sit down with Anthony Abate. Once that happens, we don't even need to make any more episodes. Like that's just
no. After that, the show done. You know what? I love Wagner, but you know what? Anthony Abate done. Sakao. It's just like
that's it.
It's over. No, but anyways, seriously though, like one of the main reasons we do want to do this show is because I think there's actually a lack of like political discourse under a Catholic view. Right. And obviously, like, we want to get into theological topics, biblical theology, stuff like that. And moral theology would be great. But in philosophy in general and history. But I think one of the big things is that there's so much bad understanding of like what Catholics are supposed to believe politically. Right. Mm-hmm. And culturally and stuff like that. And I really want to focus in on that. Society's collapsing per the thumbnail. Like civilization is just like going down the pooper, like, for lack of a better term. Hopefully that wasn't a Ligori comment, but like, it's just that's an inside joke. But
that's an inside joke. If it's a Ligori comment, it's like
if it's a Ligori comment, St. Alphonsus, Ryan Grant's translation. What a dear fellow. No, but I think there's a lot of bad stuff. Like we did a show about the immigration about a month ago, the immigration statement given out by the USCCB, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't anything like doctrinally wrong. It was just kind of bland. It was vanilla. Like, it didn't give any actual catechesis on what Catholics are supposed to believe. And everybody, hopefully everybody that's like a half decent Catholic is going to sit there and say, no, like, people deserve the sacraments in prison, in the detention centers. I'm lowering down my volume because I see it kind of going, but I feel like it got too low, so I'm lowering it back up again, raising it back up again. But I think that all right, that's good. I think that with like the whole political sphere, there's a lack of direction. Yeah,
I like most of the Catholic like content creation that I like see is like a lot of it's like apologetic stuff, which is like cool and good, and people like need to convert and whatnot. but there's not like a really good solid like set of guys just going through like what the church teaches and like reacting to like the world. I mean, maybe there are, but like I don't know.
I think like shows like I think Taylor Marshall's been getting into that a little bit. Definitely Wagner has. And I think that, and also like maybe like Avoiding Babylon, they did some shows recently that were pretty good about the world, as the famous philosopher Norm Macdonald put it.
Yeah.
The world, but about a certain nomadic tribe, which we'll discuss getting into maybe later at a different date. But this is more of an intro video, but people don't have a clear direction, and the problem is that the deeper problem, that's just the principle. The deeper problem is that, you know, we are living in a time that is so uncertain, and theology and politics are linked together, and a lot of people don't realize that. And that's a big, big, big problem, that people don't realize that the theology and politics go hand in hand. And I think that there's been a lot of goodwill from like popes like Benedict and St. John Paul II, to try and maybe bridge the gap a bit. But I have a book from Benedict called like Western Culture or whatever it's called, and it's like a series of lectures he gave or whatever. All of his books are like series of talks that he gave, but essentially, I think that there has to be some sort of like clear understanding, and I've been saying that like 8 times now. But Andrew, how do you think we go about that?
Like talking about like the world?
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean, like, how do you? Okay, maybe that was a dumbass question. Excuse my French, but it's like, but
I think I know what you mean, and so it's like,
yeah. Sorry, yeah.
We're all like living. I feel like everybody is like, at least in the year 2025, everyone's like looking around. It's like, like it's not the early 2000s anymore. Something's very different. Something's kind of, maybe some people are like say that things have gone wrong. I think most people would say that. I don't think if you would poll like anybody, they would say like it's the pinnacle. The world peaked at Blockbuster and all of that in the early 2000s. But like right now, everybody's feeling like, man, like something's off. And Connor and I have gotten together. We often have like these like 3-hour long conversations on the phone where we'll talk about stuff we learned together at Franciscan, like theology, philosophy, history, politics, economics, and then him and I will have a bunch of jokes. We'll be citing St. Augustine. We'll be talking about Rerum Novarum. We'll be doing all these deep these commentaries on what's going on. And it's like, well, these are like fun conversations that I think a lot of people would benefit from, because like you and I like to think, if you ask any of our roommates or any of our friends who knew us in college, like we're an interesting duo to listen to, or so we've been told, or so we've been told by a lot of. There's going to be a lot of stories about.
We want to be lawyers in Nashville.
Yeah, our many like escapades in Nashville and in Steubenville and throughout the world. No doubt, many of those fun stories will slip out, but I think that we just kind of want to open up the conversation to everyone out there in the Catholic world about what's like happening in the culture, and just bring in that rich like tradition that you and I imbibed for 4 years at Franciscan in regard to it's, like I said, not repeating myself, the theology, the history, the philosophy, the politics, economics.
And there's a lot of like mainstream questions like foreign policy with the United States, immigration, abortion, IVF, gay marriage, a lot of that sort of stuff. And, the church has a unique political identity, right? Like you could trace it all the way up from the early Christianity all the way up until, the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages is probably one of the most interesting times to study the church and politics, church and state, because they weren't one thing, right? Like that's what a lot of people get wrong. The church and state in the Middle Ages were not a single entity. They were distinct, but they were united. And the whole point of this channel is to bring about the social reign of Christ the King. And that's what I want. Like, right? Like G.K. Chesterton says the United States is founded on a creed, and whether that creed was good or not, right? And I'm not saying whether it is or it isn't. I love the United States. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in a small New England town, right? Like culturally, I'm a New Englander, right? You know, there's I'm mainly like of Irish descent, right? But New England's an amalgamation of like Irish, English, Italian, French, uh, Portuguese, right? There's that one county in Massachusetts just so heavily Portuguese. It's so odd, but but that's the thing. You're from California, right? It's just like it's literally just Hispanics and then white people who have a lot of Hispanic culturisms, if that's even a word, which is not. But that's the thing. And like we live in this ginormous country that is so diverse. Southern California, which I now live in, right? Versus, the Northeast versus the American South, which is such like its own thing, right? It really is like its own culture. And the Southerners are proud of that. And there has to be a Catholic way of looking at it, right? Like, subsidiarity, right? Like doing things at like the local level, doing things at the smallest level possible. Because as it was, Pius the 11th said that it would be a grave evil not to, or was that Pius the 9th? I forget.
It's like all of the Piuses, the
yeah,
PE,
all the
or
Piuses,
however you say it. They all are like a big hammering the union of the church and the state. Like that was the main thing that way. Why we were starting the podcast too, is because like everybody's got all these different like political solutions, but as the Pope say, like in their papal encyclicals, like this is just a common theme throughout them all. There is no political solution to like what's going on. Like there is no purely human work that can be done to turn the course. It's always going to, if things are going to get better, they're going to get better because Christ is being restored to his place as king of the nation, right? Exactly. And that's Connor and I we're in complete agreements about that politically, and we're like, well, more people are talking about that now. Actually, like Wagner's talking about that, and it's
like with like his Catholic Action. He's written like a bunch of articles for Cristero that I haven't gotten to read through yet.
Yeah.
And I want to read through them because I think the Catholic Action, from what I understand, it is right. It could be the smallest possible level. It's just like, okay, you have another kid and you raise him Catholic, right? Like I had a scoutmaster. My scoutmaster told me something that stuck with me. Told me this many years ago that stuck with me to this day. And he said, you influence 10 people. They go out and influence 10 people. They go out and influence 10 people. They go out and influence 10 people. Right? You know what I mean? And that's a principle that goes back to our Lord going out 2 by 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we influence 86 people. So
we influence 86 people. I mean, my gosh, like YouTube was like, wow, these guys are really, really intuitive. But no, like I think that's something that has to be harnessed because there are Catholic answers. I'm not plugging Catholic answers, plugging Scholastic Answers. Love that guy, but like I'm nothing against Catholic Answers per se, but that's just the thing, right? Like the thing is, the substance of the matter is that politics is ultimately theological. Every society has a philosophy, right? Every ancient culture was religious, and their whole thing, or their whole society, was based off of their religious beliefs, right? And this is something I actually learned in Franciscan, right? Like, you have your idea, you have your folk, you have your work, and you have your place. You know what I mean? And the IFWP, right? You have your supernatural, like for the Catholics, you have a supernatural idea, right? And then, you have your folk, right? And there's so many different Catholic cultures, going from Spain, you going to France, going to Italy, going to Poland, and then, even taking a look at like medieval England or something like that. Like that's personally, fascinating to me, right? And then Ireland, and then, you have your work. What do they do for work? Well, that's influenced by your geography. That's influenced by, what's around you, right? Like people in Ireland weren't doing the same exact work. They weren't farming the same crops, right? They don't have maybe something that the Polish have, right? The Polish don't have something that the Irish had, right? The North African Christians in the early, 300s, they weren't necessarily farming potatoes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they were farming. I'm not an expert on
like wheat,
North African, wheat, maybe the breadbasket of the world. I don't know, but and then you have your place. Well, and that's the geography part of it. So that's something that's so integral to Catholic politics. And like, we're past the whole Republican Democrat paradigm. We're past that hobby horse. Like, as you just said, that it's so different from the early 2000s. We're past that now. We're past the early 2000s. And I think that that's something that's so integral to understand, that we're past that, right? It's not, George Bush versus Al Gore or John Kerry anymore. It's not that. We're not debating whether the Iraq War was a bad idea. Most of us agree the Iraq War was a bad idea. It's like,
it's like one of those things where like sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. Like, the 2010s were such violent attacks to like Christian identity, and then like 2020's cataclysmic like world disease, pandemic, political chicanery, whatnot, woke up a lot of people. So it allows us to have interesting conversations we really couldn't have. And I think the most important conversation is going to be the importance of Christ in politics and Christ in religion. Because if you were talking to people from like the 90s or the 80s, where like the US was culturally Christian, allegedly, it's like, no, that would have been absurd to talk about like having Christ publicly in the sphere. Even in the 2000s, like in the 2010s, it would have been crazy. But now things have gotten so insane where people are like, things are so bad, we actually do need Jesus. I think people are beginning to realize that. And that's what we want to get through to this podcast, and in entertaining and intelligent ways. Like, one thing I wanted to talk about, I think this is on the thumbnail that your wife made, is it has St. Augustine and the fall of Rome. Like, I really wanted to like look at the City of God. The City of God is, what is it, 22 books or 20? I forget how long the City of God is.
I think it's like 22 books, maybe 24.
It's like, it's this huge like work by St. Augustine of Hippo, and he's like writing about the fall of Rome, and the people were like, well, Rome fell because like it became Christian and weak or whatever, and he's like rebutting those claims. He's talking a lot about the fall of Rome, which was like the greatest civilization that the world had seen at that point. And he makes some really interesting points by going to Cicero, where Cicero like defines what a republic is. And this isn't a verbatim quote, but he basically is like, yeah, a republic is like the group of people like united around like justice and the good. And then Augustine's like, okay, justice and the good. So he starts at that in the beginning, and at the very end, well, close to the end, in book 19, he like gets to the conclusion where he's like, well, if a republic is a union of people united like in justice and law, then Rome was never actually a republic, because Rome was actually never just. Because Rome never gave God his justice. So justice is giving somebody what they deserve, giving somebody their due. Now, Rome was probably better than being like a Germanic like cannibal or like whatever. But like at the end of the day, Rome was like incredibly problematic morally, as St. Augustine gets into like all kinds of violations of like the sixth commandment and immodesty. But they never gave God his due. They were always literally like worshiping demons, like, because the pagan gods are demons, or they're just made up. So no matter what you're doing, you're not giving God his due. And it wasn't that Rome converted and fell. It's that Rome wasn't converted enough. Rome was not submitting and giving God his due. And because Rome wasn't giving God his due, Rome wasn't being just. And since it wasn't being just, could it even be considered a republic? Is like what St. Augustine eventually concludes. And it gets into more interesting stuff that we could talk about in another episode. But it's like, let's fast forward to the year 2025. A lot of people see America as like the successor of Rome, and in many senses we are. We're like the best country in the world. I mean,
come on.
America is the best country in the world. There's a reason why everybody wants to come to it. There's a reason why every other country on earth wants to come to this country.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm so excited that the United States is like, I love the fact that I can go to Frank Pepe's Pizza.
Exactly.
And then for lunch, and then on Worcester Street in New Haven, Connecticut, and then I can go to, Panda Express for dinner. Lenny's
at night. Yeah. There's so many
Panda Express for dinner. It's like,
there's so many inside jokes here, but like out of the 86 people who are watching this, I think like half of them probably know us, so they're getting it, so it's fine. But like, but like what I want to touch, like, America's like the new Rome. Okay, America's supposed to be a republic. Are we united around justice? Are we united around giving people what they deserve? Well, we don't give God what he deserves because we don't acknowledge God publicly. So that's strike one against us. And there's a million other problems. So we could talk about why America is not functioning as a just society, and what God has done to Rome, what he did to Greece, what he did to Persia, what he did to Babylon, what he did to Assyria, what he even did to Jerusalem. Like, if these great nations that came before us, if they were not spared for their injustices, then neither will we be. And as somebody who, as a Mexican, I'll probably get about 70 years. So I've got like 50 left. So I'll probably live to see the fall of this stuff if we don't get our act around together. So we should probably work on justice, you know?
And that's the thing, right? Like, a lot of people, right? As I said, I've been like avoiding Babylon maxing, and like, and but the thing is, though, is it's true that like for instance, like Pope Benedict, right? Like, Anthony Abbate's hypothesis is that Pope Benedict thought we were living in like the end times, and he was very mystical in that sense. And so and we are living in very, very weird times, right? Like, is the third temple, like the fake third temple, going to be built? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that something that's going to come to fruition in our lifetime? Like, I don't want it to.
I don't think it will. I mean, we could do a whole show on like the end of the world.
I think we should.
I think we got like a couple hundred years left, honestly. Like,
we don't know the day.
We don't know the day. I don't think that I'm going to be like an old man, like saying the Antichrist is here. I don't think that's gonna happen.
But and that's the thing, though. Like, I want this to be a platform where we're just gonna come out and say what we believe. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be like somewhat, not
be prudent,
somewhat prudent. Yeah, because I want to be able to keep my job. You know what I mean? Like, I'm married and I have a daughter, but it's like that's. But at the same time, too, I think that and that's the thing, like, you're talking about the America being the new Rome, right? And I also want to get into how the Catholic Church is the new Rome, because Benedict talks about that, and how important, actually, because like, what was it in the book of Daniel? I think Pope Benedict makes the claim that like Rome's like the empire that sticks around or whatnot.
It's the prophecy of Daniel.
It's the prophecy of Daniel. So Rome's the empire that sticks around. Well, it has to kind of jump from form to form, right? Now, whether the Byzantines are pissed off or not, that they're that like, what the hell you mean? Like, that there's a Holy Roman Empire. We're right here, but that's a whole theological conversation I actually love to get into one day. But
St. Robert Bellarmine has a lot to say about it. I have like a million books, but
actually,
he talks about that here.
Actually, funny enough, too, I'm sitting. I have my laptop propped up on my trilogy from John Julius Norwich on the Byzantine Empire. Funny.
Do you really? Yeah. Do you really?
I do. Like, the tripod is John Julius Norwich's Byzantine Empire trilogy.
Yeah, it's because history is typo. This is another like great point that I don't think it's a point people are making online, but it's something that you and I talk about on the phone all the time. And it's another one of those points that's like, oh, we should just make a show about this. History is typological. Like, we're not here just to examine like Catholic social teaching from the encyclicals, which we can, right? We're not here just to do that. We're not, and we should, and we will. And we're not here just to like react to current events, which we can, we will, and we should. But there's a deep connection to history and politics to the Bible, and the way that God has treated nations in the past, and the way he will treat nations now, and the way he'll treat nations in the future, where it's like there's a succession of different nations who are going to be this evangelistic powerhouse for the world. And that comes with it's a great vocation that comes with a lot of responsibilities, but with these responsibilities come gifts, and if we abuse these gifts, will fall underneath these covenant curses, like with Israel, and like we're talking about all the other ones, like Rome, like, and I mean America. I mean, like we Connor and I love America. We love America very, very much. And we'll say it all the time. America is the greatest country in the world. But like America, really like is. There's a lot. America has like a very important vocation to the world. Like, I mean, there's this quote from Otto von Bismarck's probably not real, but I think it's just very fitting. It's like God in his providence has a special place in his heart for, the drunkard, for the fool, and for the Americans. It's like we're kind of like, We're bumbling our way through like the world stage, but when we affect everything.
G.K. Chesterton talked about that. He said something like America's founded on a creed. I got to find the quote. We got to do a show on it or something like that. What's the creed of America? But and that's the thing too, right? Like my thesis is, and tell me if I'm like committing the Americanist heresy. I really hope that I'm not, right? Because I don't want to put Catholic principles behind American principles. Like that's stupid. But G.K. Chesterton talks about how America has a creed, and and the founding fathers laid out a natural reason, natural reason way to govern a nation, right? And the individual states, although they were Protestant, most of them, right? Even, I mean, Maryland, to my understanding, even banned Catholicism after a certain point, right? But each state had its own state church, or most of them. I think 8 or 9 out of the 13, 8 or 9 out of the 13, I think.
Yeah.
But eventually, by the 1820s, those were bunk. So
I think 1822, yeah.
So yeah, and I think Connecticut or Massachusetts were the last one of the two to get rid of them.
I think it was Massachusetts, because Connecticut actually, I was reading this the other day. Connecticut's one of the first ones, I think, to get rid of it. I think even during the lifetime of Thomas Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that a book by Hamburger? That guy,
Philip Hamburger. I don't have it with me, or else I'd show it off. But there's this great guy named Philip.
We got to get him on the show.
Hamburger, who wrote a beautiful book called I think Church and State is actually.
Sorry, Dr. Hamburger.
Sorry, Dr. Hamburger. Yeah, it's like he wrote a great book on church. We'll have to do a whole episode on that book by Philip Hamburger on Church and State, and it really goes about debunking the myth that America was always trying to separate the church and the state, which it wasn't. What did happen was that, and I think this is bad, but this is what they did, where they said the federal government's going to have nothing to do with religion. Now, ultimately, every branch of government should acknowledge Christ as king, but
absolutely,
they're coming after the wars of religion, and they were probably influenced by Freemasonry, who knows what. But that didn't mean that individual states, like there are 50 states in the U.S. now, these individual states had nothing to do with God. There were still blasphemy laws in the books. There were still state religions in like 8 or 9 of the 13 colonies. So America at its founding was a Christian nation, and it's the fact that we have departed from our Christianity that we are becoming like this. America's becoming the very thing it swore to destroy. I think that's ultimately what we are becoming. America, and it's just so biblical, because when you turn away from God, God leaves you into your own hands, where you become the instrument of your own destruction. Like, think about Romans 1, where it's God gives them up to their passions, and then they debase themselves, they destroy themselves. So in our rejection of God, I mean, you could argue that, okay, like there was problems in the founding. That could be a whole episode. Although,
and there was,
but it should be shown that, it should be noted that a lot of the founding principles of a republic are rooted in great Catholic philosophers and theologians, and there's a lot of great natural law stuff going on there. I mean, Tim is a good friend of the channel, Tim Gordon. His book, Catholic Republic, I think it's somewhere like in that mess of books over there, or else I'd go get it. But it's a great book. We could maybe have him on to talk about that. But
that'd be great, yeah.
But what's happening with America, this great country that has this evangelistic mission to the world, is that by turning away from God, we're being given up into our own passions, and we're becoming the very thing we've sworn to destroy. Like, I mean, like, think about it, like America was founded on like liberty, on like subsidiary liberty, and like we are becoming this gigantic totalitarian country where everything is dictated from Washington. Like, think about it, for the colonists, it was absurd that they would have to have their world dictated by London, which was across the ocean. I mean, we're both in California. By that same principle, isn't it a bit absurd that our lives should be dictated by the city of Washington, D.C., which is incredibly far? It's mountains away from us.
I'm genuinely concerned as to what's going on in Sacramento, not what's going on in Washington. Like,
exactly.
Now, when I was living in Connecticut, born and raised 18 years, right? Or even going to school in Ohio, right? It was only 6 hours to Washington from both points. Right.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, like what happens in Washington is important to me. Right. But what happens in Washington now, I'm like, okay, like that's super important. But like, there's an idiot up, God be with him, up in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And this state, it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous state. It lacks seasons in Southern California. For a New Englander, that's horrible. Horrible. Horrible.
There is no seasons in Southern California. It's always warm.
It kills me. Like I went home. I went home. Dude, I went home like 2 weeks ago. I was like, it was freezing out. And I was like, this is awesome. I'm like ripping cigs outside of the bar. I'm sitting there like freaking, we went to Newport to go visit my sister because she lives in Massachusetts. So it was a good like meeting point. And like we're hanging out outside. I just had a voice crack. And we're hanging out outside. And it's like freezing out. And I'm like, man, this is like freaking awesome. And but anyways, like I do enjoy Southern California. There is this really big charms. Like I got back to San Diego and I was like, oh dude, like San Diego really is a charming place. And then
it's a charming place.
Then rush hour hit around 5:00 and I was like, I hate this place. But
no, yeah.
Connecticut, dude, I sat in 45 minutes of traffic on the way home today. It was ridiculous.
No, I mean, like I love
works 20 minutes away.
I can't stand the big cities.
I hate big cities.
Now we're talking about California, but like California isn't even one state; it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, because Northern California, from what I understand, is so. I mean, that's the thing, though,
and
that's what we're talking about.
That encompasses everything we're talking about. Where it's like cultures should be local and they should be small, and those small local cultures, according to Catholic social teaching, and according to the very principles of the founding of the United States, those small local communities should be governing themselves essentially. But America has abandoned its principles so much that it's no longer the local city or the county or whatever that governs itself. We're always locked in this war between like two different groups. I was going to say something, but two different like groups, these evil groups that are like bashing against each other. Like the Democrats and the Republicans are always vying for power in DC. And it's like it's always a war as to who can get the presidency, because the presidency is like this big sword that we can use to like cut up like nations and like different states and like use it as a weapon against our enemies. It shouldn't be that way. Politics should be about the local county, the local city.
It's all familial, dude. It's all familial.
Everything needs to be familial.
And it was interesting, just and like a final like thoughts because you have to go soon, right?
We should end it like soon-ish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We had like so many attempps to like.
Yeah.
We were supposed to start this so much earlier, but we had so many problems like getting this set up.
My mic wasn't working. Your mic was freaking was like crashing out.
My mic is probably still not doing good.
It's probably you sound like a 12-year-old boy. Probably we both probably sound like 12-year-old boys on like an MW.
Listen, if we're gonna be 12-year-old boys, we should just be like redeemed Zoomer and just should have Minecraft at the bottom, where it should just be like us two like talking heads, and then we have like a game of Minecraft on the bottom, and we're just playing. We just gotta lean into it.
We really do, dude. But anyways, like I was listening to T Marsh and Dr. Taylor Marshall and. Who's an incredibly actually intelligent guy. Like, he
actually is. I was listening to that Wagner interview.
Yes.
And like he was getting into all these fine distinctions about Thomism and the Nouvelle Théologie and all these things about like velleities and whatnot. I was like, oh, like I didn't know that. I respect your game. I didn't know you were like that. Like
like
he's a really smart guy.
You obviously have to have it because like he's
gay because he's got his PhD.
He has his PhD, but that's but he's like typically just doing like I just remember him like from like the like or like 2020 2021 like when like or like when I was in high school I'd come home, watch him, church militant, and I was like, oh, I got to move on to the really academic stuff, not knowing that he had academic stuff. Like he was the one who got me into like the whole I love Catholic philosophy and theology stuff. Right?
Yeah, like early Catholic YouTuber. I mean, like Tim and Taylor had like their explosive show, like in their show,
which is like this is kind of like the Tim and Taylor revamp.
Yeah, this is like the reunion. Like I'm like the next Tim, and you're like the next Taylor because like you're fancy and in your suit, and I'm like a dirty California man.
Yeah, no, seriously, and like they're both, and like Taylor Marshall, Taylor Marshall, like he's the type of guy that inspires me. Like he really just loves Jesus, man. Like that guy really loves Jesus. And then like Tim really has influenced me in a lot of my political thinking, and then like you have like, as I said, like there's a lot of great Catholic YouTubers. But anyways, I was besides the point, right? I was listening to Taylor Marshall because he has his new book out, Christian Patriot, which I would like to read one day. But he was making a point how even like some of the early founders, Taylor Marshall cannot stand Thomas Jefferson for like many, many reasons. And I think all of them are justified. All of them are just like Thomas Jefferson, and we'll get into.
He's like the most liberal. He's like the most liberal of like the founders.
He has he has good ideas when it comes to locality and stuff like that, but everything else is like actually dumb. Like
he's the most liberal of the founders.
Yeah, and like see, we're like John Adams was not, and some of the even some of the anti-federalists were just not liberal. They just didn't like to my understanding, you know what I mean? Like, to my understanding, that they weren't like all like Thomas Jeffersonites. They were just like Jeffersonians, to put it properly. They were just like, no, like, why? I don't want to be ruled by anybody. like that's not like within like G.K. Chesterton has that quote, like, you should keep politicians close enough to kick them. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what we should have. But getting back to the point, he was talking about how like even in the early American founding, like they were seeing a lot of people were seeing politics as familial, right? And that's what politics is all about, right? And that's why church and state have to go hand in hand, right? Like, I'm the father of my family, right? Like, I'm the head of my family. Like, my wife's my right hand gal, you know what I mean? Like, we have our little girl, you know? And but the thing is, though, is that, like, I am the church because I'm part of the body of Christ, right? On that level, but like, I am not. Like, the church and I, like, this is gonna be a really bad analogy. I gotta work it out. Maybe you could help me a little bit, but because I haven't thought this through too much, really, at all. But like, I'm not the church, if that makes sense. Like, I am not like I'm not a bishop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not I'm priest, prophet, king in my own right, but I'm not. Like,
you're not a cleric.
I'm not a cleric, exactly. I don't have holy orders. I'm just. I'm just a guy who likes to go to mass and, pray the rosary and go to confession and read Catholic things and, the scriptures. But I'm not a cleric. But the church and I are united still. Like, we're distinct but united. You know what I mean? And like, the way I govern my family is based off of how the church, like, is based off of Catholic principles. Right?
Yeah.
The laws I dictate in my family are best seen fit because I think that would be best for the salvation of souls. And that's how politics has to be. Like, I'm over the whole, well, no, like, you can't, like, and we're past, I think, in a lot of ways, like the whole, you can't legislate morality. I think a lot of people are on the boat, whatever side they're on. Right, like, no, you could legislate morality. We could legislate less morality, or
people are getting there.
People are getting there, but
like the I mean, this could be a whole brand. Like, what was happening in Indiana the other week is showing that not everyone's there. But yeah.
Oh, what Illinois? What happened in Indiana?
Well, they were. It's a whole thing. But anyway, keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So like, I think that's how politics has to be, and that's the goal of this channel, right? That is the entire goal of this channel. Is to bring about the social reign of Christ the King, because Andrew and I will say a million times, we love this country. This country has been so good to us. My family's been here for 4 generations now, right? We were, these little potato eating guys coming off the boat from Ireland. You know what I mean? And, and we adopted this culture, and I want to leave what's bad out of the culture out of my life, obviously, right? Because because like, I don't want to pretend like American culture is perfect, right? I think
it's not. Yeah,
too. But we have a cultural heritage that comes down from Jerusalem to Athens to Greece to Rome to from Athens and Greece, Athens to Rome to the Middle Ages to London to Philadelphia. And I think that's something that means a lot to me. That's something that means a lot to me. And like, also there's other cultural influences. Like, you go to like Louisiana or like northern Maine, right? Like, that's very French influence, like the Acadians up in northern Maine or the Cajuns up in down in Louisiana, or like, like living here in San Diego, like I get to go to the Mission Basilica de Alcala, right? Where Saint Junipero Serra founded that mission, right? He's buried there, I think. Is he, or is he buried somewhere else?
There are some martyrs there. I don't know if I don't think Junipero Serra's there. He might be. You tell me. I
don't know. I haven't been there in like a month, so.
But I remember because I've been there as a Californian. I visited like most of the missions. I remember there's like there's some martyrs buried there. I don't remember if it was him though, because
there
he
are
wasn't
guys
a martyr,
buried in the sanctuary, but yeah. So
in the garden too, in the little garden.
I haven't ventured much around.
There's this like beautiful like white crucifix in the garden, and there's like a little like crucifix and like the plaque that talks about how these priests were like martyred there, like on like that spot, like where the garden is now. And it's like, wow, like the blood of the friars has blossomed dip into this garden in California where people are being sanctified there to this day at your parish. So.
Yeah, I love that church. That church is gorgeous. Yeah. So, but I think it's a good place to wrap up.
Yeah, just like parting shots. Like I agree with like everything you said. Like the Bible, Ignatius Catholic Study Bible. You know,
I got mine over there.
Yeah, is a political book. It's like it views politics as like deeply familial. Like when we think of like political books, like we think of like John Locke or like Thomas like Hobbes or whatever. Not a fan of either of those guys. But like we should like be thinking about like Moses and like Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers, and he like lays out like what politics is. It's like it's a familial enterprise. And like that's where your identity comes from. It's like from your family. And it's not like again that small unit that blossoms out as opposed to like this all-powerful totalitarian small city that's going to dictate what happens for like an entire continent worth of people. Going back to some of your earlier analogies too, where it's like church and state like are distinct and yet one. It's like how body, like I'm like one person, but I have like a body and I have a soul. Like the soul is the church and the body will be the state, and they will be distinct insofar as body and soul are distinct, but they will be one thing. And a body without a soul is a corpse. And I mean, we're like in a corpse, like the West is in a corpse stage because the West has rejected its soul, the church. And it's like, we're going to be like Rome and City of God, where it's like, because we are refusing justice, we're refusing to give God his due. We're refusing to worship God as a society. We're this corpse. And if we don't, but we're a corpse, but we believe in the resurrection. And we have to turn back as a society to Christ for him to vivify us and divinize us. So as Americans, we can do our mission, which is to like obviously take care of everybody in America. But we have an outward mission because America influences the entire world. Like if like you always see like these kids like in India or like Africa or like South America, like in these like American like TV like cartoon shirts, like they're like wearing like Looney Tunes shirts, like you know, it's like we like export everything that we are everywhere for better or for worse, and it's like we've got to own up and we've got to respond to the grace we're being given, and that's what we hope to do in this podcast, and you know,
no, absolutely. No, I think that was honestly, I don't think I could have said that better. So, yeah,
that's why you have me.
Yeah, no,
we have
you are. I'm the Platonic idea. You're the Aristotelian reality. No, but the one thing I do want to just finish up with, it's all about communion, right? You're talking about the uniting of it. It's all about communion, and I would like to say, like I'm a big St. Thomas guy, as Andrew knows. But I'm also, I really admire Pope Benedict. I'm a big Pope Benedict guy. Andrew knows this as well. Pope Benedict, I think he's like the best thing to happen yet in the 20th century to like the church and the world. Like one of the best things, at least. I think, you know, he has his problems. You know what I mean? There was problems, and we can get into that in maybe an episode. But, you know, from what I've understood, you know, his theology to be all about, it's all about communion. Right. And that's what it ultimately comes down to for me. Right. If the church and the state can commune with each other, and then we are all commune together with the one true God. Right. We are a part of him. Right. We go through what's the proper term? Theosis. Right. That's the Eastern term.
Theosis.
Right. Like if the state can go through theosis, right? It's not, we're not looking for a utopia. Right. Like that's the whole point of traditionalist conservatism. that's the whole point of Catholic politics. We're not looking. No one's looking for a utopia. The only utopia is there. You know what I mean? It's only up there. But we're looking for something that we could live that's still good, true, and beautiful. So that's my parting shot. And as I said, I don't want to be controversial saying Pope Benedict's the best thing that happened in the 20th century. I think
you're not being. I love
21st century.
I love Pope Benedict. I love Pope Benedict the 16th. I'm a huge fan. I mean, like a lot of those books are his.
Yeah, and I don't want to trash on him either. But like every Pope has.
No, we're not. We're not.
Yeah,
I'm just like, wow, it's like Errigu Lagrange, you know.
I mean, 21st century though. 21st century.
A lot of great guys.
20th century, but 21st century. 21st century.
Yeah,
I think he was great.
I love Benedict. I think
he's great, but the resurgence of the faith, I think, is great as well. The Latin Mass and all that.
Yeah, we love Benedict. We'll have to do a Benedict episode. But yeah, I was gonna say something profound, but I forgot what it was.
it always that's what the communion was in my head. I was like, man, Andrew just said something so great, and then all of a sudden I was like, I forgot, dude. I was like, I forgot what I was gonna say. I couldn't say anything better myself. All right, we're done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah. I think if you remember it.
That's what it was. Yeah, because you were talking about communion, where it's like, like society really just should be like a Eucharistic pilgrimage to heaven. Like that's just kind of like what a society like should be, because like a society has to be rooted in a culture, the worship of the Eucharist, and leisure
is the basis of culture.
Leisure is the basis of culture.
We're gonna do a show on that because liturgy is liturgy has to be central to a society.
Exactly, it has to be. But it's like society is just like a Eucharistic pilgrimage to like the eschaton, where it's like it's a concrete thing, but it's like coming and it's going, and like we're on a journey elsewhere, but it's still a concrete reality that has an identity. But it's an identity that exists for the sake.
Like this is the image. I can't show myself exactly. I can't show exactly. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Now you got it.
Yeah, this is the image that I love.
Like you, like over.
No. This is the image that I love.
Yeah, I love that.
This is the Eucharistic. This is the Eucharistic pilgrimage.
Hold on.
You gonna pull out Scott Hahn's book?
Yeah, there it is.
Yep, it's right on my shelf.
It is Right and Just. Another great.
Yeah.
Same picture. Another great book.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's a pilgrimage, and that's actually what, and we'll close out with. That's the meaning of our show name, right? UpperRoomates.
That's right.
Like, we're talking about the UpperRoomates Eucharistic, because that is the source. That is the source of the Christian life, right? It's the source and summit of the Christian life, as I think what Vatican II says, right?
Yeah.
Vatican II in the Catechism, the recent Catechism, right? And that's a tradition that goes throughout the church. Little catechism. All right. From what I understand, a lot of people are like Tim and Taylor and Father Ripperger are big Roman catechism guys, Trent catechism guys.
Yeah. Well, they're both in force.
They're both in force. Yeah. Still, yeah. So, I mean, I think that's great. Right. But I'm not trying to trash on the new catechism, obviously. But
I don't think any of the 86 people watching this are going to infer
that. No. I just, I get a little the scruple man.
I don't even know if they're going to know what like the upper room is. The upper room is where Jesus had the Last Supper. The upper room is where Jesus had the Last Supper. It's where the Eucharist. It's where the Eucharist was first. The first Mass was celebrated, and it's like the source and summit of like all our lives. And it's like, the upper room. We were roommates. Let's meditate on like the mysteries of God, like together, and as our 86 followers follow us on pilgrimage to heaven,
Absolutely. Listen, if we influence 86 people, man, we influence 86 people.
I mean, like for me, we've already won. We're talking 86 people. Like for me, I don't need like 1,000 views. I just need like 80 people. I'm good. 80 people and Anthony Abate, and I'm fine.
Like we have like all these big guests on the show or whatever it is. Like we have Tim, we have
like
Christian
the
Wagner.
Pope on Zoom. We're like, did you know who Anthony Abate is? He's like,
I love avoiding Babylon.
He's like I'm quite the fan of Anthony Abate.
He's like, because he's so like timid. He's like, I'm not trying to be rude to the Pope, but he's like, oh yes, I love. That's Cardinal Burke, but like you're sliding. Well, sorry,
we got so many stories. We could share that Cardinal Burke story one day. We have so many things we could share.
Oh my gosh, dude! I met Cardinal Burke one day, and it was really funny.
Yeah, we can keep going on forever, but we should.
Yeah, dude, we gotta go, dude. It's like it's just so. Oh my gosh, dude.
We will try and get more organized as time goes on, but it will never be all that organized.
No, we will never be organized.
That's part of the charm of the show. It's never going to be super organized. I'm not that organized, and I'm Californian, but it will get better, like microphone wise or whatever.
I'm just brain rotted.
Yeah. There's brain water, like watching the Dick Van Dyke Show on YouTube Shorts.
Hey, it was his birthday the other day. It was
God bless him. We gotta get him on the show while we can.
We gotta get him on the show. Apparently, he read Dietrich Bonhoeffer and stuff. Apparently, he's an elder in his Presbyterian church.
He is an elder in the Presbyterian church. He is.
So we gotta get him on the show and talk about.
Yeah, we gotta get him on the show. Be like interviewing Presbyter Dick Van Dyke.
like some renowned theologian, Dick Van Dyke.
Renowned elder of the faith, Richard Van Dyke.
Renowned elder of the Presbyterian Church.
Presbyterian.
Dick Van Dyke. I walk into the room, the intro of the Dick Van Dyke Show. I fall over something, I kiss Kate, and then I'm and then Anyways, all right, we gotta cut.
It's off. So what do you think of the Synod of Dort, Dick Van Dyke? And he's like, I love that synod.
It's just Mr. Elder Van Dyke. What are your thoughts on sinners in the hands of an angry God? I know you're from Missouri. I know you're a Midwesterner, but you in the New England theology, are you willing to take church attendance to make sure everybody's there on Sunday?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Jonathan Edwards and his impact on a Presbyterian Church of America?
Oh my gosh! All right, we got to cut this off.
If there's anybody still left, they're.
Yeah, I want to really plug. I want to plug really fast the Cristero party. Right, I'm gonna link it down in the description below. It's a publication. Andrew's on the board of it. I've contributed something. Christian Wagner has contributed quite a bit now. I gotta write another piece. I said I would, so I gotta get on that.
Cristero party is a political movement. It's a political movement which is seeking to enshrine Christ the King into politics and implement Catholic social teaching. So we've got a blog on there where we're always accepting a variety of points of views from the Catholic tradition to see how we should implement it here in the U.S.
Yeah. So anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. All 4 of you left. My mom.
Abuelito. Mrs. Nolan. My mom.
No, dude, my mom said she watched our video twice. Gosh, my mom's as loyal as Nick Fuentes' mom.
Your mom is such a loyal. Your mom is probably one of our biggest fans. Your mom
she really is.
That's an impressive thing because she's a fiercely loyal woman. As long as we've got God and Mrs. Nolan on our side, I think we're gonna do incredible.
Yeah, listen, the 3 women I need in my life are the Blessed Virgin Mary. 4 women are the Blessed Virgin Mary, my wife, my mom. Well, my mom and my daughter, and my sister's all right. I'm kidding. I love my sister.
You're doing your top 10 favorite women tier list.
It's just my mom, my sister.
It's S tier. We'll put the Blessed Virgin Mary.
S tier, A tier, my wife and daughter and mom. B tier, my sister. C tier on other days. No, I'm kidding. I love my sister. My sister's awesome. So, anyways,
sweet lady.
She is a sweet woman. She allowed us into her house after we.
I remember that
camped the night.
That cold, dark, depressing day after almost dying on Mount Jefferson.
Nobody cares about this, dude. Nobody cares about this, dude. We gotta stop. We're just go off.
We just gotta stop talking. We have again, what we were saying. This is modeled off of the phone calls that we have with each other, which are infamous for lasting hours.
You're just getting an inside peek. We're just dressed nicely and we're recording on nice microphones or phone calls.
This is exactly what this is. Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah. So
we should end.
And yeah. Anyways, God be with you all.
Deus Vult.
Day is full. Yeah, day is full. Pray the I mean this seriously, but pray the rosary every day you're not on the team. So, but
yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
all right. Peace out.
Bye.